This is Reverend Ryan, and I have an experience to share with you that changed my life. When I was learning about my former religion, I was raised into Mormonism and lived in Utah, which is, roughly 70% Mormons and more. When I was a child, they're losing a lot of members right now. And so, in Utah anyway, their membership is going down in Utah, and other cultures are coming in. But when I reflected on my religion, I learned about genetics and things that relate to the Book of Mormon, because Mormons claim that Native Americans came from Israel, and they were a group of people called Lamanites, from a apparent Mormon prophet named Lehi, who had sons, and then Laman was one of his sons, and this turned into one of the two tribes. And there was this huge culture and this huge infrastructure of big cities of millions of people, and there's no trace of it. So when I was looking into this more, I learned more about the priesthood. And how I did this is because I was learning about science and about genealogy and about genetics and about biology and geography, and I was a dedicated Christian at this point. And that's why I was reflecting on my former religion. And there's maps in the Bible, in the books of the Bible. You can see in some of them at the end a map of every place that you read about in the Bible. And then you can go to Israel and see these places today. They're still there. But these big cities with millions of people that were talked about in the Book of Mormon no longer exist. There is no Zarahemla. There is no huge cities of Nephi and all these others. And anyway, I just found this Lemba tribe when I was looking through all this, because the Lemba claimed to be priests from Israel, and that they left Israel, prophet, a leader from back when the fall of Jerusalem happened in 70 AD. The Romans that took over Israel forced all these people out, and one of the leaders was named Buba, and he went from Israel to roughly South Africa, and ended up starting a tribe there. And they call themselves the Lemba. They don't eat pork. They celebrate the Sabbath, Passover. They have Jewish traditions, from thousands of years ago, and it's a priestly tribe that has been verified through human DNA. And the Lamanites, so-called, or the Native Americans, don't have DNA at all that relate to Israelites, like the Mormons claimed that they would. And recently, the Mormons actually changed the preface of their Book of Mormon to not include that principal ancestors were the Lamanites. And anyway, so that's where I got into this study, and I found this incredible experience about Rasta and about Haile Selassie and the conquering Lion of Judah, and all this, and then also the Lemba and the Ark of the Covenant that they have brought with them, they claim, from Israel to Africa, and they believe it's there in Zimbabwe. Anyway, I will just let you listen, and I'll have some commentary on the screen. So thanks.
Become the guarantee of a better covenant. The former priests, on the one hand, existed in greater numbers because they were prevented by death from continuing. But Jesus, on the other hand, because he continues forever, holds his priesthood permanently. Therefore, he is able also to save forever those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. For it was fitting for us to have such a high priest, holy, innocent, undefiled, separated from sinners, and exalted above the heavens, who does not need daily, like those high priests, to offer up sacrifices, first for his own sins, and then for the sins of the people, because this he did once for all, when he offered up himself. For the law appoints men as high priests who were weak, but the word of the oath, which came after the law, appoints a son made perfect forever.
fire, wow. Yes, the blessing is yours. Never let the hidden get you down. My reward is so great. One but not the blessing is yours.
On the border of Black Africa, as the Nubian drummers played into the night, I was reminded of my work 20 years before with a southern African tribe called the Lemba. As far back as anybody could recall, the Lemba had claimed to be Jewish, effectively a lost tribe of Israel. Their oral tradition said they were led out of the Holy Land by priests at the time of the Babylonian invasion.
Yes, the blessing is yours.
Lemba claimed that their ancestors were Jews who'd once lived somewhere to the north in a place they knew as Senna. Today, the Lemba live either side of the Limpopo River in modern-day South Africa and Zimbabwe. When I first came here, there were still Lemba elders alive who would refer to their people as the white men who came from Senna. But at that time, it wasn't clear where Senna was.
We adore and worship Yahweh, the only one. We don't adore ancestral spirits. We don't worship idols of animals, trees, stones, the sun, the stars, or the moon, which Yahweh has made. Culture is the backbone. It's a unifying force. Now, I know culture changes in accordance with time and place, but the root of culture remains the same.
They'd preserved so many Jewish traditions for so long. But final proof only came when the science of genetics was applied to Lemba oral history, and geneticist Trevor Jenkins decided to examine the Y chromosome of Lemba males. His interest had been sparked by what he'd heard about Lemba culture.
The musicologist Margaret Nabarro told me the Lemba were of Jewish origin.
I think she said that their music showed some signs of Jewish influence.
Yes, she did. And so I went with her to a Lemba cultural festival and collected my samples there.
Astonishingly, Jenkins discovered that the Lemba were indeed of Semitic origin. Subsequent research done by other geneticists showed that a significant proportion of Lemba men had a Y chromosome pattern known as the Cohen modal haplotype, which is characteristic of the Kohanim, the ancient Jewish priestly class. They were effectively a lost Israelite tribe.
Okay, so there you have it on the priesthood matter. The priesthood is very important to the Bible. Only a certain group of people were allowed to have the priesthood, the sons of Aaron. That was in Numbers 3. Mormons claim that the priesthood was wiped off the earth. They had to restore it. That's the reason that their church exists today. But the point with the Lemba, not only does it relate to Rasta and Haile Selassie and that religious movement in Ethiopia and Zimbabwe, but it also proves that the priesthood was not wiped off the earth. Mormons claim that war and persecutions and crusades wiped the priesthood off the earth in like the 1st and 2nd century, but the Lemba proved that the priesthood existed all over the earth, not only in Israel and around those areas where some Jews remained, but also in Africa and other parts of the world. And then the Mormons also would not let blacks hold their priesthood until 1978, almost 150 years. And now it's shown that these blacks actually have more right to the priesthood than the Mormons do. The Mormons claim that they restored a priesthood that they can't even have, because most of them don't have lineage to Aaron in the Bible. But these Lemba do. And that's the point with this presentation about the priesthood. I didn't have a lot of good footage from Haile Selassie, but basically he came from his descent is from Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, so-called, and Solomon had many wives and many concubines, and Queen of Sheba was one of his wives, and she went back to her homeland, and he is descent from that lineage right all the way back to the beginning with Solomon, the beginning of Israel, basically.
The wicked would love to see us our shield and defense. Even when they try to persecute my soul, Jah put a roof above mine. They try to scare me out with them evilness, violence, iniquity, walk, I come and run